What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Daily Dance. This is day 3 of our series about the Levite and the concubine. We've covered a lot of ground so far. We've talked about how the Levite takes in this concubine and how it's possibly an act of love and not just a sinful act as people usually see it. The concubine cheats on the Levite, runs back home. The Levite loves her so much that even though he could have not only divorced her, but killed her, even though he could have stoned her and taken her life, he chose to run after her because he wanted to bring her back. After he went to get his concubine after she left, they, on their way home, stop at a place called Gibeah. While in Gibeah, an old man takes them in, and this old man is actually from the Levite's hometown, Ephraim. So while they're in Gibeah, staying there on their journey back home, there's this Sodom and Gomorrah-like scene. There's a whole bunch of guys that surround the old man's house while the Levite and the concubine are there, and they demand that the old man allow them to have sex with the Levite. But the old man, probably with good motives, says, don't take the Levite. If you're going to take anyone, take either my daughter or take his concubine. Now, a lot of times when people see this story, they say, wow, the Levite is so selfish. He is so just self-centered to the point where he would give his concubine just to save his own life. But like we addressed in the last video, the old man was really the one that offered up the concubine. So the men of the city, the ones that were trying to have sex with the Levite, they take the old man's offer. They take the concubine, and the Bible says that they raped her all night. It says that they took turns raping her so badly to the point that they killed her. The next morning, the Levite found his concubine dead on the threshold of the old man's house.
Honestly, I think this is interesting. Sometimes it's easy to be tempted as a group, or as a group you decide to do this or that or whatever, but eventually, and no matter what the situation is, you have a choice to make. Am I going to do this? Am I going to say this? Am I going to look at this website? Am I going to say this to that person? Am I going to turn this assignment in even though it may be dishonest? Even though a group at large may be making a decision to do something, but at the end of the day, you and I, we still have a choice. We always have a choice. And so maybe this lesson, or maybe this story, this awful story, there's a lesson for us to take more ownership of our individual choices, no matter what the group is doing. So this awful thing happens. They kill the woman, the second wife. And then this is what it says in verse 28 of Judges 19. So he, the husband, said, "Get up, let's go." But there was no answer. There's no answer because she's dead. They killed her in the most awful way. So he put her body on his donkey and took her home. This is very normal. This is what we would expect. That's what they would expect. But then it just gets weird. When he got home, he took a knife and cut his concubine's body into 12 pieces. And then he sent one piece to each tribe throughout all the territory of Israel. Now, this is really important. Why would he do such an awful thing? See, here's the thing. He could have done what is culturally acceptable. Could have gone home. His second wife is dead. Had a nice burial service. Had a funeral service, and people would pay their respects and just kind of move on. But the husband doesn't do that. He does something extreme. He does something that would have been really outside the box for their culture. And that is, he takes a situation, he doesn't just sweep it under the rug, he doesn't just keep on living his daily life the way that everyone else would have expected him to. He cuts her into 12 pieces and sends out the story. He basically puts what happens totally on blast. He goes viral with it at that time. And so apparently, how would you do this, right? So he would send messengers out, and a messenger would go to all 12 tribes of Israel, send it out even to the Benjaminite tribe. And apparently, the story is so awful, which even thousands of years later we would agree, that he knew that people would not believe it. Apparently, when each tribe were to hear the message and see the body would have been so bruised and abused It was like evidence, it was like proof that the story was true.
Let's continue on to verse 30. It says, everyone who saw it said, such a horrible crime has not been committed in all the time since Israel left Egypt. Think about it. What are we going to do? As a result of the Levites' action, as a result of the Levites spreading this word, the people of Israel, the fellow other tribes of Israel, they were disgusted. They were enraged. They said, how can this awful thing take place? And as a result, they wanted to mobilize themselves. They wanted to take action. They wanted to do something to make right of this wrong. So this story is a testament to what can happen when we use our voices, when we use what God has given us to stand up for what's right.
We will continue the story tomorrow with what all of Israel decides to do.